The Green Court's order came just days after the BJP Sonali Fogart was allegedly drugged at a party at Curley's hours before she died. The order to demolish the structure, of course, was passed first by the Goa Coastal Zone Authority at its final meeting in July. The NJT, we are told, was hearing an appeal challenging the order of the GCZMA directing the razing of the iconic restaurant. Pictures on your screen are coming to you as demolition work is now progressing. We're going to try and go across to our correspondents in just a bit to give us more details. The demolition order, of course, was challenged by the owner of Curley's in both the Goa court as well thereafter in the Supreme Court. However, it has now been upheld and the demolition, as you can see, is going forward now. This also takes place just weeks after the BJP leader Sonali Fogart was supposed to have died after consuming something at the Curley's restaurant. The owner of Curley's was also held after that alleged murder took place, and thereafter he's now out on bail. Although the police had initially, of course, registered a an accidental death report on Fogart's case, they soon turned it into a murder investigation. Two people who were accompanying Sonali Fogart in those pictures, in fact, are also under arrest. And as we are pointing out, of course, the Curley's, which is a popular beach shack on the Anjana beach in Goa, is being demolished even as we speak. This comes after the Green Tribunal's nod to go ahead with the demolition. Now, this, of course, has been a protracted battle essentially between the Goa Coastal Zone authorities as well as the owner of Curley's. He's gone to the court twice. He first, of course, went to the court against demolition, which is the Goa court, and thereafter, of course, took the matter to the Supreme Court. But the NGT also has now given the order for the demolition of Curley's. Now, tensions are prevailing in Jammu and Kashmir's Rajouri over the possession of land, and administration has attached a disputed piece of property, while the Muslim community is claiming that this land belongs to them and a masjid will be built on the land. The Hindu community claims the temple will be built as the land belongs to them. Restrictions have been imposed in Rajouri to avoid any untoward incident. There is a face-off that is brewing over land dispute in Rajouri. Security forces out in full measure to try and prevent anything unruly from taking place. Now, this is a disputed location where both Hindu and Muslim sides are claiming that this land belongs to them. And pictures on your screen are of the security forces who have now been deployed out in full force in this area in Rajouri, in Jammu and Kashmir, to make sure that things remain under control. Both sides, of course, claim the land and say that they want to build their own religious places on this disputed territory. Gursimran is reporting on this. He joins us live from Jammu. Gursimran, good morning. Give us a sense of what's happening over there. We can, of course, see heavy police deployment as well as security forces out in full force.
Yes, the security forces are out on the ground as a precautionary measure that has been taken by the district administration after a meeting that was held with the civil society, wherein no conclusion was reached. Important to mention that this is around 3.5 marra plot that is in between the Rajouri city, where both the communities, that is Hindus and the Muslims, they are claiming that the land belongs to them and they want to build their religious place at that very place, to which the other communities are objecting, and that has led to confrontation between the two yesterday when both were at the site where this dispute is all about, after which the district administration has taken the cognizance and they have attached the property. that is this piece of land under section 145 and has been given to the district administration, that is police, for the further action that has to be taken as per the law. Now they will go into the records and will see who is the actual owner of this land and what can be done. But as of now, as a precautionary measure, 144 restrictions have been put on place. There is a visible deployment of the police, CRPF and the paramilitary forces on ground, and also the concertina wires too have been placed, as there was a call of band given by the Muslim bodies today after the namaz of Friday. That's why the security has been beefed up to avoid any kind of confrontation between the two communities, because Rajouri being a communally sensitive place, the administration and the police don't want to take any kind of risk, and that's why this kind of adequate security arrangements has already been put in place.
Now, Gursimran, give us more details about the dispute as well. We understand that it's been going on for a while with both sides claiming the title land.
Yes, both the sides are claiming. What the Muslim community is saying, that this is a land of Akaf, that they have the documents of also as well, and they say that they will be building a masjid at this very place, while the Hindu community is claiming that this land has been in the Hindu majority area, this belongs to them, and they will not allow that, and they will build a temple. This is what the locals also say of that area, and that's why there is a calm but a tense situation prevailing in the Rajouri. Yes.
All right, Gursimran bringing us those details of the situation in Rajouri. Thank you very much for joining us. As Gursimran, of course, is reporting, we are now learning that security forces are out in full force to ensure that peace can prevail. Now, acting on an intelligence tip-off, a person travelling to Dubai was intercepted by AIU officers at the Kolkata airport yesterday. A recovery of about $11.86 lakh, valued approximately at about 9.34 crore rupees, was made. Further investigations are currently on, but pictures on your screen are of the massive recovery that has been made at the Kolkata airport. We are told that this was a specific tip-off that intelligence agencies were acting upon. They have seized about $11.87 lakh, which are valued approximately at about 9.34 crore rupees from his possession. Pictures on your screen are of that recovery that has been made at the Kolkata airport by AIU officers. I'm going to try and go across to Bhaskar on the phone line to give us more details about this recovery. But investigations, we are told, are underway to ascertain the reason for this man travelling to the United States of America. He's, of course, been intercepted and arrested. Let me go across to Bhaskar now. Bhaskar, good morning. Give us more details of what really happened. This is a huge sum.
Good morning, Nipur. Yes, acting on specific intelligence, one person was apprehended by the customs officials at Calcutta Airport, Calcutta International Airport, and around $11.87 lakh were recovered from his position, and now he is under questioning of the customs officials that, as per the source, he was traveling to Dubai, and they have been observed officers yesterday grabbed him carrying $11.87 lakh, which is almost equal to around 9.34 crore rupees as by Indian currency. And the further investigation is now underway, and the officials are questioning this person about his everything and why he was carrying that much amount of money, and from where he gets that money. Everything is under now examination.
All right. Bhaskar reporting on that. Thank you very much for joining us. As Bhaskar is pointing out, further investigations are currently being conducted. Now, moving on. Shocking news came in from Amritsar early this morning. Nihang Sikhs hacked a man to death near the Golden Temple. 3 accused have been identified, and raids are being conducted to nab the accused at the earliest. Now, this comes after the 22-year-old man was allegedly hacked to death by these two Nihang Sikhs and another man who accused him of being drunk and consuming tobacco near the Golden Temple in Amritsar. Around half a dozen onlookers kept watching the entire episode at the Kaiyawala Bazaar that took place on Wednesday. However, they did not come forward to help the man or prevent the death. It was captured on CCTV camera, the video of which has now surfaced on social media. So pictures on your screen are of the CCTV footage from a camera that's been installed in the vicinity. You can see very, very clearly that there are about 3 people who attack a man who's lying on the ground. What we're given to understand is that despite a large number of people being present at the spot, nobody intervened. The Nihang Sikhs and another man, of course, accused this person of consuming alcohol next to the Golden Temple and also consuming tobacco. That is when they started to attack him and they hacked him to their death. A case has been lodged. 2 people have been arrested in this case so far. Now, pictures, of course, that we are accessing for you here on Republic TV are have gone viral on the social media. What we are seeing, of course, is action being taken. And here's a look at what else is made.
And tracking the big story this hour, Republic has accessed that letter that was written by the former trustee of the graveyard way back in January 2020. A letter that the former trustee had written to the Mumbai police saying that he had received threats from the underworld with regard to glorification of Yakub Memon. So questions being asked there from the Uddhav government that was in power in the state of Maharashtra as to why did it fail to act on these threat letters that were received by the former trustee of the graveyard. We'll slip into a very short break, but non-stop coverage to continue on the other side of this very short break.
President Draupadi Murmu is set to launch the Pradhan Mantri TB Mukt Bharat Abhiyan, which is aimed at providing community support to those suffering from the disease. Under the campaign, people and institutions can adopt blocks, districts, or even an individual patient and provide nutritional and treatment support. The BJP's National President JP Nadda is set to reach Chhattisgarh at 11 this morning. This comes ahead of the polls that are scheduled next year. Nadda will also attend the BJP events and 3-day RSS National Coordination meeting. It is the first time that an all-India coordination meeting of RSS-linked bodies will be held in Chhattisgarh. Villagers in Rajouri have filed a complaint over an alleged pro-Pakistan and anti-India slogan that was raised at the Government Medical College Hostel following a cricket match between Afghanistan and Pakistan as part of the Asia Cup. Telangana's Governor Tamilisai Soundarajan has alleged that the government in the state has discriminated against her as she's a woman governor. The claims were retorted by the Telangana MLC and the Chief Minister KCR's daughter K. Kavita, who said that the governor's office had become a political stage and that allegations were politically motivated. Ghulam Nabi Azad has taken his first chai, but the Gandhis are saying that he had stayed there for 3 days as they fired missiles against him following his resignation, further adding that he'd been pulling his punches at present. Groups belonging to a particular community have objected to posters about Ghulam Nabi Azad's political campaign in Kishtwar. The municipality in the town stated that a permission had not been taken by the group and were therefore removing the posters as a result.
Made history, becoming the first ever Indian to win the prestigious Diamond League trophy.
मुश्किलों को करते ना काम, जनहित हमारा काम, देश का सम्मान, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि सम्मेलन।
It is the biggest clincher on Yakub Memon's glorification. Former trustee threatens to give the grave to the 1993 bomber. Republic TV accesses a sensational letter where threats issued in the name of Tiger Memon for Yakub Memon's glorification. The Uddhav government's role becomes clearer. Did the Uddhav Thackeray government let the underworld get its way? Did the government know but do nothing? The Aam Aadmi Party versus the BJP face-off over Liquorgate intensifies. The BJP stages a mega showdown in the national capital. Demolition action at Curley's after Sonali Phogat's death case. Bulldozers now roll on Curley's. And mega crackdown as the top ISIS leader is detained in Turkey. Good morning and thank you very much for staying with us on Republic TV. This is live and breaking. I'm Nupur Talwar Suri. We begin with the story that we've been tracking since yesterday. Now, this is the former trustee of the Bada Kabristan in Mumbai, who was threatened in the name of Tiger Memon to provide a permanent grave to Yakub Memon. Now, we are given to understand that the former trustee of the Bada Kabristan had actually written to the Mumbai police in January of 2020, but no action was initiated. Now, in a letter that we have managed to access, the trustee Jalil Navrang has mentioned that Rauf Memon, a close aide and a relative of Tiger Memon, had written in his letter that Yakub Bhai was blessed with martyrdom, and I'm quoting what he said, but Tiger Bhai is still alive. You guys should work to provide a permanent grave for Yakub Memon, or else Tiger Bhai will speak to you, and if you don't, you will disappear. So in a sense, he threatened him. Let's go across to Alicia, who's joining us with more details. Now, Alicia, this letter also, in a sense, brings the fact that this was something that the police was aware of as early as January of 2020, but they decided not to do anything. The letter, in a sense, is threatening.
Well, yes, Nupur, that is a letter that was given back in 6th January 2020. So that is letter that was given to Mumbai police, clearly mentioning that the former trustee who was threatened to death, and clearly a call that was made by Rauf Memon. Rauf Memon, known to be a close aide and a relative of Tiger Memon, he clearly says that it's a threat. He has been threatened for a permanent grave for Yakub Memon. So he also mentioned in the same letter, and if I state what exactly has been mentioned in the letter, it's clearly said that there was a call that was made by Rauf Memon, and Rauf Memon had clearly mentioned that you guys should start working to provide a permanent grave for Yakub Memon, and if this does not happen, so there will be the Tiger Memon who will speak to you, and you will also disappear. So this was a serious threat that was given to trustee in 2020, and he has clearly mentioned this to the Mumbai police as well. But what we have been told that the police at that point of time, under the pressure, could not be able to take any action, because we know Mumbai police, and Mumbai police, even if we get even a threat that has been given, so the complaint has been filed, the case has been registered, but this is something, a serious threat that was given to the trustee, clearly a call that was made by a close aide of Tiger Memon, clearly mentioning that you will be disappeared and you will not even get to know when you will be disappeared. So it's better that the request that has been made even earlier by the family, or now they should work on to provide a permanent grave for Yakub Memon. If this does not happen, so Tiger Memon will intervene. So this, police did not take any action, but now when the Deputy Chief Minister and Home Minister of Maharashtra, Devendra Fadnavis, has clearly ordered for a thorough investigation in this case. So now the police is also going to look into this letter as well. Why the police at that point of time did not intervene or did not file any complaint, which is why now the police, where we know that the DCP level officer is going to investigate into the case, whereas the senior police inspector of LT Police Marg is going to will be the investigator investigating officer, and there are more people who are going to be questioned, because what we know, where the committee is going to be formed in this Yakub Memon grave case. Moreover, there are people who are going to be questioned related to the case. But even the letter that has been given in the name of Yakub Memon grave, all letters that is relatable to the case will also be under the radar of Mumbai police.
Absolutely. As you're pointing out now, this letter, in a sense, brings to light the pressure that has been there from the Memon family, essentially someone who's closely related to Tiger Memon in this particular case, threatening that action will be taken, or, you know, in a sense threatening that a lot more could happen to the trustee if he does not provide a permanent grave to Yakub Memon. Now, the police obviously was aware of it as early as January of 2020, but chose to keep silent until this issue, of course, exploded after Republic TV's report.
वेल यस नुपुर, जहां पर हम देख रहे हैं कि अब जो लेटर दिया गया है, क्योंकि ये लेटर सबसे ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट इसीलिए आ रहा है क्योंकि ये लेटर फॉर्मर ट्रस्टी की ओर से दी गई थी। इस लेटर में साफ तौर पर ये मेंशन किया गया है कि एक थ्रेट जो है वो राउफ मेनन, जो कि टाइगर मेनन के क्लोज एड और रिलेटिव माने जाते हैं, उनके ओर से ये कॉल 2020 में जो कि एक कॉल किया गया था और एक थ्रेटन की गई थी। इस लेटर में साफ तौर पर यह मेंशन किया गया है कि अगर याकूब मेनन के लिए परमानेंट ग्रेव नहीं माना जाता, अगर नहीं बनाया दिया या फिर अलॉट नहीं किया गया, तो कहीं ना कहीं टाइगर मेनन इस पे इंटरवेन करेंगे, वो आपसे बात करेंगे। और इतना ही नहीं, ये तक थ्रेटन किया गया कि इसी अगर परमानेंट नहीं दे तो टाइगर मेनन ऐसे शख्स है जो तुमको पता भी नहीं चलेगा, लेकिन तुमको डिसअपियर किया जाएगा, तुमको अगवाई की जाएगी। तो इस तरीके का थ्रेट दिया गया था और काफी सीरियस थ्रेट दिया गया था। और उसी के देखते हुए जो कि ट्रस्टी है, उन्होंने ये लेटर मुंबई पुलिस को 6 जनवरी 2020 को लिखी गई थी। लेकिन जो बताया जा रहा है कि इस लेटर पर कोई भी जो एक्शन है वो पुलिस की ओर से नहीं लिया गया था, क्योंकि कहीं ना कहीं पर उस दौरान जो है पुलिस अंडर द प्रेशर में थी और उसी प्रेशर को देखते हुए इस पर कोई भी एक्शन नहीं लिया गया था। लेकिन अब जहां तक देखा जा रहा है, क्योंकि मुंबई पुलिस के अब स्कैनर पर ये भी लेटर है और इसी लेटर के जरिए अब मुंबई पुलिस
interrupt you there. I'll come back to you in just a bit. Mr. Tom Varakan on the phone line with us. Mr. Varakan, good morning. What's extremely clear, Mr. Varakan, is that not just the police force but also the government at the time knew of this, and despite that, and despite of course this letter that was written by the trustee, chose to ignore it. Why do you think that happened?
Well, that is obvious. When you have ministers who are in connivance with these people who are in jail right now, you have them and they give cover support. And that was happening as daylight. And the chief minister and his son didn't bother. The point is, people have now realized the kind of nexus that exists. It only took, it's not in our government's time, it is there, they have been doing all this activity, their real estate dealing and what have you. And then this whole business of secularism that they talk about. Secularism is in our DNA of the Bharatiya Janata Party. We know what secularism is all about. We don't have to take lessons from them. It is this group of people who are trying to spread instability in our country. They are creating that narrative, desperate to hold on. The times have changed, people have woken up. Now these people are the same people who gave a cover operation to this grave beautification. They were fully aware of it. The ministers were aware of it. And the minority minister was there, and he is now in jail.
But Mr. Varakan,
smoking then, yeah.
Mr. Varakan, this is not a case of secularism. This is a case of a convicted terrorist who was hanged to death despite, several appeals that he was made. He was found guilty of having financed, the bomb blast of 1993. How can this even be explained in the name of secularism? This was a convicted man.
Absolutely. This is a convicted case. There is no room. I'm trying to say how they try to create a situation. When you put the minister in jail, you're creating a problem of religious rift. You know, when you take action, there is immediate reaction coming from that. These are the supporters of terrorists. Let there be no doubt about it. These are condemned terrorists. With no country this happens. A terrorist has been condemned by the court of the land and is found guilty, and then there is this beautification operation. in the same state. Can you believe this? And this can, I mean, I'm sorry to say this, but this should not happen in India.
Absolutely. Mr. Varakan, appreciate your speaking to us on Republic TV. As Tom Varakan from the BJP is pointing out, this was a person who was an enemy of the state. He was convicted in the 1993 bomb blast. He was someone who was believed to have financed the bomb blast, which killed about 257 people and injured close to 1,400 people in a series of bomb blasts that shook Mumbai in 1993. I'm going to go back to Alisha on this one. Alisha, now, even as a committee has been formed to look into what really happened and how this happened, give us more details into what action is going to be taken. Obviously, you know, this is something that was hidden by the state government. It was hidden by the police, the senior officials of the police at the time.
Well, yes, Nupur, we know that the committee has already been formed and Home Minister Devendra Fadnavis has clearly given an instructions that the action should be initiated against whoever found a culprit. So there is somewhere where the police is been looking and they have been recording statement whoever is the related to the case and specifically who were the one who actually installed the LED lights and as well as marble tiles as well. Because we can see there is a threat that is given to the former trustee, who were appointed at that point of time. They were threatened because even yesterday we saw a letter that was given by a family member. So the family member was also seeking a permission to get a permanent grave for Yakub Memon for 5 lakh rupees. But that is something we can see at this picture, because we know that the procedure of the grave, because every 1.5 or 2 years the grave has been allotted to some other, but there was a demand to get a permanent grave for Yakub Memon, and that is where the threat letter comes in for a picture, because now this letter is also under the scanner of Mumbai police. They have been given a clear instructions. Moreover, the DCP level officer who are investigating into the case, the DCP Zone 2 has been looking into the case, and the senior police inspector of LT Marg police station is the investigating officer. So there are the statement that is going to be recorded, whether it is the former trustee or the letter that has been given in demand, whether for the permanent grave or the illegal or something. The letter in connected with Yakub Memon grave is under the scrutiny, and that is going to where the Mumbai police is going to investigate into the case, and we will see who has exactly been added in the committee as well, because that report is something has to be submitted to the Maharashtra government.
All right, as Alisha is pointing out, of course, action being taken after Republic TV had brought this story to the focus. We brought you visuals of how this terrorist has been eulogized. There have been a series of LED lights as well as a marble edifice that has been brought about around the grave. Now, Alisha has been tracking all the developments. Alisha, anything that we are hearing right now from the former MVA government? Any word coming in from them as to why this was done?
Well, as of now, there is no official statement that has come in from the MVA government, because this is something has come under the radar, and we know that Bharatiya Janata Party is continuously even asking to apologize, whether from Uddhav Thackeray or whether from Congress and NCP. We heard Ram Kadam who clearly said that the grave that has been glorified by with the permission of then a government that is under Uddhav Thackeray led government, including Congress and Shiv Sena, where he demanded for an apology.
Alisha, I'm afraid I'm going to have to interrupt you there. Mr. R.P. Singh on the phone line with me. Mr. Singh, good morning. Thank you very much for speaking to us on Republic TV. Mr. Singh, what do you make of this connivance that appears to have been between the police and the government at the time? What we know for now is that the police knew about this but chose to ignore it, and obviously the government of the day also must have been aware of something like this happening. Why do you think they chose to ignore it?
Well, firstly, I'll appreciate the government of the day should immediately come in action and then do the needful and ensure that a mausoleum which is being built or which has been structured there should be removed immediately. One. Secondly, we clearly know it happened during Uddhav Thackre's regime, and he was under pressure of Mrs. Sonia Gandhi, who has a track record of appeasement of all such activities or all such nefarious activities, and also of terrorism also. And again and again, there have been many times. I still remember Batla House, where the tears didn't stop all night through because of the Batla House from Sonia, as per the record of Mr. Salman Khurshid. But that point aside, the worst part is not a single Tanzeem, the organization of the Muslims, have come forward to say yes, it should not happen. They have not criticized it. They have not said that, okay, we will go and remove it. We will not allow this to happen. None, not a single. That's the sad part.
I mean, Mr. Singh, you know, religious divide apart, the fact of the matter is that this was a convicted terrorist. This was a man who was known as the Butcher of Mumbai. He was the financer in this case. He was convicted. He was hanged till death at the Nagpur Central Jail. So the point is that this, in a sense, was glorification of a convicted terrorist.
So there were a set of people who went to the court. And then in that, there are a lot of people who are so-called socialite in the daily circle. So there is a set of people who support such elements and support such activities and are the covert operators for such people. But the fact is that I would have that none of the I'm not talking dividing on the religious line. I mean, why not a single Tanzeem or any of these so-called Muslim organizations, Maulanas, Maulvis, has come forward and said, no, it's wrong, we will go and uproot it. We will not allow this to happen.
Right. Mr. Singh, appreciate your speaking to us on Republic TV. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to go back on the ground to Alicia. Alicia, now, for our viewers who are just joining in, give us a sense of the action that has been taken now. Going forward, we are given to understand that a committee has already been formed to investigate what happened, how it happened, and the movement forward.
Well, yes, as far as the investigation and the action that has been initiated by Mumbai Police is what we know, that a LED light has already been removed from the same grave of Yakub Memon, after which the Republic has exposed what exactly the permission and how it was glorified. Well, yes, the committee has been formed, but we will wait for an official statement. We will see who are the exactly are included in the same committee, because this is something a very serious matter where the entire nation, and even we heard and there are many of the 1993 blast, bomb blast, the family, the relatives of the who died in this bomb blast has clearly asking for a justice, because Yakub Memon, who is a convicted, and he was hanged and later he was brought to the same Bada Kabristan in Mumbai, and now his grave has been glorified, is something now under the scanner, whether it is of Mumbai Police or whether it is Maharashtra government, because government has clearly given an instructions to the police officials. There will be a committee that is going to form, but the police has also need to investigate into the case, where the DCP level officer has been asked to investigate, and the investigation officer will be senior police inspector. But there are people who are going to be questioned, and what we know so far from our sources, that the people who have been related to the case is also going to be questioned, the statement to be recorded, and the letters which has come across since the time the Yakub Memon grave has been glorified, and the letter, whether it is the letter that has also been accessed by Republic TV, is something going to be investigated, and police is been seeking all the same complaint letter, whether it is a complaint letter or a request letter, is something has been asked by the...
Right, Alicia, stay with us. We're going to come back to you. Mr. Poonawalla on the phone line with us. Mr. Poonawalla, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Mr. Poonawalla, the question that's on everybody's mind is that if the Mumbai police knew of this action taking place as early as 2020, why did they not initiate an investigation? Why did they choose to turn the other ear? And also, obviously, if the police knew, perhaps the government of the day was in the know and decided not to act on it.
You see, वोट बैंक के साथ था गठबंधन, इसलिए आतंकियों का किया महिमा मंडल. This was the formula of the NDA government, which appeased terrorism for the sake of vote bank politics. And yesterday I was watching your coverage on this entire issue. The NDA government not only allowed the beautification of the terrorist memorial or the mazar of a terrorist, but in fact this is the same government which in fact allowed a person like Aslam Sheikh, who was batting for Yakub Memon to become a minister. This is the same government that allowed Nawab Malik, who was indicted by the courts for having links with Dawood Ibrahim gang to continue as a minister. So completely this government had succumbed to vote bank pressures and was even doing Mahima Mandal of terrorists and eulogizing terrorists.
But Mr. Poonawalla, don't you think the time has come for our politics to be divorced from, appeasement of a terrorist? Because he was not, he was a terrorist who was held responsible for killing 257 people. There was blood on the streets of Mumbai in 1993, and he and his brother Tiger Memon were the men behind it.
Absolutely. On the one hand, these people who bled Mumbai, who took the lives of Mumbaikars and Maharashtrians and Indians, there was no sympathy for them, but there was an attempt to eulogize these terrorists only because of vote bank pressures, and therefore the Shiv Sena of Bharat Thackeray was completely under the pressure of Sonia Gandhi and Sharad Pawar, because of which we have seen that how the ideology of Bharat Thackeray was also given a Tilanjali. And today that has come to the fore. This kind of politics will continue as long as vote bank politics continue.
Right, Mr. Poonawalla from the BJP, thank you very much for speaking to us on Republic TV. I'm going to go back on the ground to Alisha, who's been covering this for us. Alisha, give us some more details on what the letter actually says, because we have accessed the letter, and in the letter it is very clearly mentioned that Rauf Memon, who's related to Tiger Memon, actually called the trustee and warned him of grave consequences if a permanent grave was not allotted to Yakub Memon's family.
Well, yes, Nupur, if we look at the letter that is accessed by Republic, clearly mentioned that the call that was made by Rauf Memon, who is a close aide and a relative of Tiger Memon, clearly threatened the trustee, because earlier is what we've been told that earlier he refused